everyone. Welcome to the Dare to Care podcast, the podcast where we talk about the inner workings of ministry at Inspire Family Fellowship and community stories within the church. If you have comments, stories, or questions about Inspire or the Dare to Care ministries at any point during our podcast today, feel free to send those questions to me at amy@inspirefamily.org. We also invite you to join us in person at Inspire any Sunday or Wednesday that you're able. Our address is 523 North 21st Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Our Sunday services are at 9:15 and 10:45, and Wednesday nights they start at 5 with a meal, 6 o'clock classes for all ages, and 7 o'clock is our family worship. My name is Amy Langang. I am the Dare to Care coordinator here at Inspire Family Fellowship, and today I'm here with Rob.
Hi.
I should say your last name too. Rob Pesky.
Sure.
And our guest, Sarah Herold. Hey,
Hooray.
Sarah.
I was laughing when we scheduled this because Amy's been picking on me lately because every time we do one of these podcasts, she's like, you just know everybody. Like, you know them and you've known them for so long. So this time, Amy's brought someone that I've never met before. Is it Sarah
Herold.
Herold. Nice to meet you.
Herold.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds good. Sarah, so yeah. Oh, wait. Or maybe she went the opposite direction.
You've probably known her for like 20 years. And
I figured it out today. It's 25 years and about 6 months. And I was going to try to figure out the days.
I think it's a little longer than that because Mark and I will be married 25 years in June.
Well, okay, so I'm going to tell the story, of how this is my first memory of you. I don't think it was actually the first time we met, but the moment when I realized Sarah is one of my people. I was a freshman at University of Mary, and I was majoring in music education, and your future husband, you may have even been engaged at this point. And if you weren't engaged yet, it was
very
really
close.
Yeah. But we all kind of knew you were going to be around for a while, I guess was the moral of the story. And I was gung-ho music major. I'm a drummer, and I practiced and all these things. And we had our very first performance at the University of Mary, and it went really, really bad. And without getting...
The steel drum, right?
Well, I think it was marimbas, but it was the steel drum band playing marimbas. You remember this, too? This is great.
It was that bad.
Oh, man. Well, and it was for like a private function at the school, and not to make a long story longer, but... a lot of the students were drunk for the performance. And I was angry because I had practiced, I had worked, this was like the thing. And I remember exactly where I was sitting in the music department afterwards, and I think you could see the steam coming off my head. And I remember, Sarah, you had probably just finished massage school, or maybe you were in the middle of it.
Yes, I had just finished.
You came over and you're like, hey, I learned this new technique that I want to try on you. And you did this thing to my arms. And I swear you just looked at me and said, Rob, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I went, oh, okay. And I feel like that has encompassed our whole relationship. Like we just go back and forth going, Sarah, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then another day you come to me, Rob, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
So that's my first Sarah experience in the year 2000, probably in October, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So a long time. And then we have been good friends ever since.
Yeah, our kids have grown up together. We've done a lot of things. We've done a vacation together even.
Yes, yeah.
And sometimes when we go on those vacations, we bring 120 high school kids with us. Yeah, because your husband's the band director at Legacy.
Right.
And so he always brings all of his friends when we go on these trips.
There, you said it. It's a trip. It's not a vacation.
It is.
Yes, those are definitely trips. Yes.
But just in case everyone listening hasn't known you for the last 25 years, tell us a little bit about yourself.
You, Sarah.
Where did you grow up? How did you get here? How did you come to faith? What's the Sarah Herold story?
So I grew up in Jamestown until the end of my freshman year of high school and moved here. My dad worked for the railroad and they shut down the yard that was there. So we had to move and we decided Bismarck was a place that we were going to move to. So going into my sophomore year of high school, moved here. But even in Jamestown, my mom was the head of religious education for the Catholic Church. I did a lot of things. I played at church often. I did all kinds of retreats. Anything that I could volunteer for, I did. And then moving here, a lot of that shut down because it was hard to move as a sophomore in high school, not knowing anybody. I didn't know anybody, and went to St. Mary's, which was actually a really good thing because it was so much smaller than the other two schools. And my mom told my dad, we are sending them to St. Mary's because my sister was a year and a half younger than me. So she said, they're just going to get lost going to those big schools, and I don't want that. So going to St. Mary's, actually, the first two people to say hello to me are still two of my best friends. So,
Awesome.
yeah, it was good. Going into my junior year, I felt like things were a little more normal. I felt a lot more comfortable. So I started volunteering for a lot more things. I became a Eucharistic minister. We would do things like, they're called search weekends. I don't know if you know what those are, but those were a lot of things that really started to form my faith, like truly form my faith, and not just like, oh, I do this thing that, we go to church and then we do this thing and, oh, I volunteer and look at the things that I do. It was more that I definitely became more, Jesus Christ is my Lord, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, your family, so it sounds like your family was very involved in the church.
Very much so.
Faith and all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. And then, so we would go down to the Abbey and then have Mass, and then they had lunch down there, and we'd sit with the sisters down there, and we'd have soup and sandwiches, and then Mark and I got engaged. I don't even, I think it was roughly 2000. It was 2000. Yeah, it was 2000. And then he moved down to Minneapolis for a job. I stayed here because we were getting married here. During that time, his dad, I know a lot of people don't know that story, but his dad was in a wheelchair. There was a lot of health issues. And when Mark was down there, I often would go to Mass with his dad and different things like that. Once we were married in 2002, I moved down to Minneapolis with Mark. And again, another transition of things just not necessarily losing my faith, but it was definitely like, oh, we're on our own. We don't have to go to church. There's nobody here to see if we're actually doing that. And but about a year and a half, 2 years after we moved there, we started going to St. Mary of the Lake. And about 3 years later, we had some people who found out that Mark played drums, and they were like, you should come in and play. So one Sunday a month, they had their rock and roll, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
And so Mark would go and play, and then we got to just more and more involved with people there. And then in 2010, we moved back here.
Yeah.
On the advice of some really good friends.
I maybe have sent a job opening
Maybe,
to Mark or
yes,
something like,
maybe.
hey, you've thought about applying for this one?
Yeah. And here we are. And even through all of that stuff, there were definitely, God has had his hand in all of it. I mean, even us moving back here, that Fagnerud was retiring, that you called Mark and said you should do this, that he put his application in, and John Bauman looked at the list and was like, how come Mark Herold is not on the interview list? I mean, just all those things. He's on the interview list. They choose Chris Dosovic, but Chris was like, I want Mark to work with me, and calls Mark. And even before that happened, Mark was like, we're not going to move back if I'm going to be an associate and I have to travel. And that's what the job was. But he was like, I feel really good about this. And I was like, all right, let's do that.
Let's go.
Yeah. And then once we moved back, about 6 months later, Mark's dad passed away.
Yeah.
And that was a hard...
For
That was a
sure.
hard thing. But even within that, I think that had we not moved back, that would have been really, really hard on us, not having to get to spend that last 6 months with him.
Yeah.
And Alex getting to know him a little more, which was really great. That was wonderful.
Yeah. And how old was Alex at that time?
He was, he was 5.
Okay.
No, he was 7 because we had William.
Yeah, I was going to say,
William was a baby.
Was William born here?
No, he was born in Minneapolis in 2010. And then, so January 2010, we moved in June of 2010.
Yeah.
And it was the end of September of 2010 that Kenny passed away. So, and through all of that, it's just amazing how, looking back, God's hand just continually guiding. Like, I know that this seems scary, but you need to go here. I know that this seems scary, but you need to go there.
Yeah.
It was...
Well, I think back even to when Mark got the job in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
That was a weird... Because he graduated in December. It was like, I think he just planned to hang out here, work, and teach some lessons.
Yeah, and he applied for a job that somebody had said, hey, there's this job down there. And he's like, okay. So he sends in his big, huge binder that he's got. And, I mean, he applied for the job. He interviewed, accepted the job, moved down there, and started teaching in 8 days. So that was, it was very interesting, like how fast it was. And then 6 months later, I joined him, and
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, and the rest is history.
the rest is history.
All right. So you're in Bismarck. You've got two boys. You're still attending Catholic church at this time?
Yes, we were. We went to Corpus Christi for a very long time.
So how did you make your way to Inspire?
So when we moved back, I had joined MOPS through charity, and I think it was the second year, my table leader had said something along the lines of, "Oh my goodness, all this stuff was happening." She's like, "Sometimes I just want to say, Jesus, come tomorrow." And I literally had a panic attack, like, that can't happen. I'm not ready for that. I am not, that can't happen. And that was the first time I realized, like, oh, I just kind of wade in the water. I don't really dive deep. I don't have that true relationship with him. I show up and I do the things. So after that, we started exploring a little more. I started attending. Actually, Nicole had I don't remember what it was called, but a day-long
It was like the IF
yeah, the
conference
IF conference.
Like that?
Yeah, that's what it was for a day, and that
it's like a women's retreat.
Yeah,
but it was in town. Yeah,
and that was at charity, and for the first time, I felt like, oh, I can have like community with women that aren't Catholic. That's okay to do, and I loved that. And then about 2017, 18, I had gone to it was the Women's Day or Women's Night Out conference at Evangel. And even at the same time, Inspire had started, and they had asked Mark to drum on Wednesday nights. And then Tim needed somebody to take care of the kiddos, and I was working at a daycare at the time, and he was like, "Hey, do you think you'd come and do this?" He goes, "We'll pay you." And I said, "Yeah, I can do that." So we started out at the Baymont over in Mandan, and that was very interesting, setting up a perimeter with these littles that I had.
Yeah. Like cages.
Yes, it was cage. It was very interesting. And then at one point I had to sit so that, because there was a place where the little ones could crawl underneath, and so it was pretty funny. But we got our routine, and William loved his classmates. He had so much fun. He was like, "Are we gonna go on Wednesday nights? Are we gonna go to Inspire? Are we gonna go there again?" And pretty soon Mark and I were like, this is just a lot more like home versus every place else. And so we continued coming on Wednesday nights. Sundays we were going to Evangel. And within the last year, just more and more coming to Inspire and realizing that this is a lot more home than any place else we've been. So
Sure.
That's really what's brought us
That's amazing.
here.
So I always ask questions. If you don't want to go down this path, you just say nope, and we'll change the subject. But I know a lot of people, my wife and you, I know well. Talk about moving even from the Catholic Church over to Evangel. How did that happen for you, for your family, with your extended family? Because we all know that church isn't just about me. It's, and especially in this area, it's almost like a culture. And do you mind talking about that a little bit?
No, not at all.
And none of this, and I know you, we're not putting anybody under the bus here.
No.
It's just, how has God moved in your life, or how did those things work out for you, and what led you down that path?
Well, I think going back to the question of like, Jesus, I wish you would just come tomorrow, and wondering like, what is going on in my faith that I don't feel that I have that relationship, or that I'm worried about him coming, that I would not get to go to heaven. That starting to explore that a little more, going to it's now the Unique Conference, but going to that and seeing how people were praising Jesus, like raising their hands, and it was okay to do that. I remember often thinking in the Catholic Church, like, why can't we do that? I mean, David danced naked in front of God. Like,
we shouldn't do that. But,
right. But, I mean, at church, for sure.
Okay. That's fair. I thought you said what happened on the cruise ship stays on the
sorry.
cruise ship.
I'm so sorry I brought that in. Sorry.
No, okay.
Those things, but also, to be honest, your guys' adoption of Emily was another. I remember talking with my mom, and saying, I don't understand how in a faith that you can say that if you aren't Catholic, if you aren't doing all of these things, you aren't, receiving the Eucharist, you aren't doing all of the sacraments, how it is that people that we know who love God, who are adopting a child, could die, and then Jesus would say, yeah, I'm sorry, you're not Catholic, and so you don't get to come into heaven. I think that was also another big, that doesn't seem right to me. I don't think that God is like that. So starting to go down that path and reading books from people who weren't Catholic and seeing a different side of things and going, because I feel like for me growing up, Mass was you showed up and you listened to the homily and it was 5-7 minutes, and sometimes I got something, sometimes I didn't. And as you mature, you also start to understand more. But I think that I wanted to listen. Mm-hmm. It became I want to know what you're talking about. I want to know, why do we believe what we believe? Why is the gospel true? Why is the Bible true? And why is this big book, this thing that everybody keeps talking about, why is that the truth? So even within that, the path of trying to figure that stuff out, and I'm very heady. I love geeking out about things. I mean, I've even come into Rob, I'm like, okay, you got to explain this to me because I want to know what this actually means.
I love those conversations.
Yeah.
Especially with a friend like you, but with anybody. I had a teenager sitting in my office Wednesday night, just, what about this? What about this? And it's just, it's fun to talk about and explore and stuff.
Yeah. And the more I explored, the more I started realizing, this is really true. Because the beginning of the Bible can't know the end of the Bible. They can't know all of that stuff unless it's true and unless God was God from the very beginning. And podcasts are my favorite. Yeah. Anybody who knows me, in fact, my husband teases me. He's like, you should have a podcast, Sarah. What is Sarah listening to this week?
It's just a podcast with other podcasts.
Yes, yes, yep.
I'd listen to
that. Well, maybe we should start one.
Okay.
So it's been a really big listening to podcasts, but also hearing other people in their faith journeys of how they arrived there. How do you get there? How do you go from, are you sure that this thing is true? Because living in the world that we do, they really do not want you to believe the truth. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So those are, I think, moving into that. Pastor Josh he definitely is anointed, as I believe you are too. I just, when I listened to him, there was a lot of conviction, but not that oh my gosh, I'm going to burn and go to hell kind of conviction. It was I really need to work on my relationship, because if I don't, that's the part that I'm missing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think one of the things we feel strongly here, and I don't know Pastor Josh personally or anything like that, there are lots of good ways to receive Jesus.
Yeah.
And I know good people that are very faithful and strong in the Catholic Church, and they should be there because they're getting him there. And there are people at Evangel, and there are people here, and there are people at every church in town. Randy, it's something we say a lot, is we do not have a monopoly on the gospel.
Yeah.
There are that's what I think is neat about you, is you sought Jesus in all these places. And you found him in all these places.
Yeah.
And I'm selfishly grateful you ended up here because I really like hanging out with you, and I like getting a hug every Wednesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not they're bad and we're good.
Yeah, no.
Thing. It's just,
where
do you fit?
I wrestled with that for a long while. I think I pose that question to God all the time. What happened to the church? Why are there so many different ways to look at you and worship you and do all these things? And I remember sitting in my car one day, and just very clearly he was like, I had 12 disciples, which are 12 different points of view, and every one of them followed me.
That's really interesting.
I've never heard that
I like
before.
that.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Can we write that down before you leave?
Okay, good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. I think we did it. Yeah.
So that was a very big aha moment for me.
Cool.
It doesn't mean, so being in the Catholic Church does not mean that you're better or right or wrong. Just as being here doesn't mean you're better, right, or wrong. It's, how do you find the Lord? How do you find that he is the truth, the life, and the way?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I was thinking about, believe it or not, Amy, I actually think about these podcasts before I get here. But I was thinking about you, and like I said, I've known each other for a long time, and a lot of times I tell people God calls you to a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And so follow me on this metaphor for a second. If our faith is like a walk with Jesus, and I think a lot of us, we walk with Jesus as a kid, and then a lot of times in college we sort of run away or we try it our own way. And you hear these stories all the time. You come back and you stray away. When I think of you, the image that came to my mind was your walk was like you're holding hands with Jesus, and you would just like, what is that over there? And you'd maybe wander a little bit, but you never let go of his hand. Like the whole time it was like this sacred curiosity.
Yeah.
What's that? I mean I remember in college you would ask anyone, anywhere, anything. I mean, we had dinners with Father Nick, our good friend, and you would ask me questions and you would ask Randy questions.
Yeah.
And it was just like you were just trying to figure out this Jesus thing.
Yeah.
And so what I have admired about you for all these years is I felt like you never walked away from him. You kept holding on and just saying, what's that? Well, what about that? What about that? As opposed to a lot of us, we go over and, I'm going to try that out. And then I picture Jesus going like, all right.
Here we go.
Well, I'll be here when you're done. Right. But you have been so faithful to Jesus, even while you explored all of these other aspects of him. And I just think that's really cool. And I'm proud of you and I admire that about you. So
Thank you.
All right.
So anyway, well, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your story. We could probably maybe we'll start our own podcast. We'll do like 4 or 5 more of these because there's so much more to you and your story. But I just think getting to know people and being around, you're one of those happy people on Wednesdays that I think anyone could sit down at your table and they'll be your friend.
Yeah.
I also have to give a shameless plug. You are the best masseuse I've ever met in my life. So if anyone is sore or stiff and they need help, Ty's raising his hand. Make an appointment with Sarah. Maybe sometime in the next 6 months, she'll find a time that she can get you in. But I know you're really busy. But anyway, I want to thank you for being here, for being part of our community. I absolutely adore your whole family. I love your husband. I love your sons. And man, it's hard to imagine Inspire without a Herold drumming at this point.
Yeah. Even for me. Absolute. Yeah.
Well, and I was... William, I think, played last Sunday or maybe it was 2 Sundays ago now, and I didn't know he was playing at first. I was like, man, who's that drummer? I look, oh man, it's William. Okay. So anyway, it's been a pleasure, and I'm always just touched by the people that remember the Baymont days, like chaining in children and just keeping them alive so that we can get this thing off the ground. So we appreciate you and all that you've done around here, and I think I'm going to just close us in a little prayer.
Yeah,
sounds
then
great.
Amy will read her outro while we avoid eye contact. And
try not to giggle at each
don't
other.
laugh at me.
We will try not to, but no promises. So
You guys go down. I'm going right with you.
okay, let's pray. God, we thank you for this day and for all your blessings and the gifts you've given us. And I thank you so much for my friend Sarah. I thank you for her friendship, her family, and the support she's been to me over the years. And I pray, Lord, that you just continue to walk with her and to hold her hand and to help her figure out all of this stuff that you have put in our world, Lord. I pray that you bless her and guide her and keep her safe, healthy, and happy. And I pray for our listeners, Lord. I pray that you bless them and guide them, watch over them in all that they do, and that you'll continue to move through this place we call Inspire to draw people closer and closer to you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thanks again, Sarah, for spending some time with us this morning. And all of you out there listening, we appreciate you tuning in to our Dare to Care podcast. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to send me an email or give me a text. Otherwise, we hope to see you here on Sunday at 9:15 or 10:45 in the morning, or on a Wednesday at 5 o'clock for the meal, 6 o'clock classes for all, 7 o'clock service. Have a good one, guys. Bye.